Chapter 10. And so I won my manhood spurs. My status on the waterfront and with the oyster pirates became immediately excellent. I was looked upon as a good fellow as well as no coward. And somehow, from the day I achieved that concept sitting on the stringer piece of the Oakland City wharf, I have never cared much for money. No one has ever considered me a miser since, while my carelessness of money is a source of anxiety and worry to some that know me. So completely did I break with my parsimonious past that I sent word home to my mother to call in the boys of the neighbourhood and give to them all my collections. I never even cared to learn what boys got what collections. I was a man now, and I made a clean sweep of everything that bound me to my boyhood. My reputation grew. When the story went around the waterfront of how French Frank had tried to run me down with his schooner, and of how I had stood on the deck of the Razzle-Dazzle, a cocked, double-barrel shotgun in my hands, steering with my feet and holding her to her course, and compelled him to put up his wheel and keep away, the waterfront decided that there was something in me despite my youth. And I continued to show what was in me. There were the times I brought the Razzle-Dazzle in with a bigger load of oysters than any other two-man craft. There was the time when we raided far down in Lower Bay, and mine was the only craft back at daylight to the anchorage off Asparagus Island. There was the Thursday night we raced for market, and I brought the Razzle-Dazzle in without a rudder, first of the fleet, and skimmed the cream of the Friday morning trade. And there was the time I brought her in from Upper Bay under a jib when Scotty burned my mainsail. Yes, it was Scotty of the Idler adventure. Irish had followed Spider on board the Razzle-Dazzle, and Scotty, turning up, had taken Irish's place. But the things I did on the water only partly counted. What completed everything and won for me the title of Prince of the Oyster Beds was that I was a good fellow ashore with my money, buying drinks like a man. I little dreamed that the time would come when the Oakland waterfront, which had shocked me at first, would be shocked and annoyed by the devilry of the things I did. But always the life was tied up with drinking. The saloons are poor men's clubs. Saloons are congregating places. We engaged to meet one another in saloons. We celebrated our good fortune or wept our grief in saloons. We got acquainted in saloons. Can I ever forget the afternoon I met Old Scratch, Nelson's father? It was in The Last Chance. Johnny Heinhold introduced us. That Old Scratch was Nelson's father was noteworthy enough. But there was more to it than that. He was owner and master of the scow schooner Annie Mine, and some day I might ship as a sailor with him. Still more, he was romance. He was a blue-eyed, yellow-haired, raw-boned Viking, big-bodied and strong-muscled despite his age. And he had sailed the seas in ships of all nations in the old savage sailing days. I had heard many weird tales about him and worshipped him from a distance. It took the saloon to bring us together. Even so, Our acquaintance might have been no more than a hand grip and a word he was a laconic old fellow had it not been for the drinking. "Have a drink," I said with promptitude, after the pause which I had learned good form in drinking dictates. Of course, while we drank our beer, which I had paid for, it was incumbent on him to listen to me and to talk to me. And Johnny, like a true host, made the tactful remarks that enabled us to find mutual topics of conversation. And of course, having drunk my beer, Captain Nelson must now buy beer in turn. This led to more talking, and Johnny drifted out of the conversation to wait on other customers. The more beer Captain Nelson and I drank, the better we got acquainted. In me he found an appreciative listener, who by virtue of book reading knew much about the sea life he had lived. So he drifted back to his wild young days, and spun many a rare yarn for me, while we downed beer, treat by treat, although a blessed summer afternoon. And it was only John Barleycorn that made possible that long afternoon with the old sea dog. It was Johnny Heinhold who secretly warned me across the bar that I was getting pickled and advised me to take small beers. But as soon as Captain Nelson drank large beers, my pride forbade anything else than large beers. And not until the skipper ordered his first small beer did I order one for myself. Oh, when we came to a lingering fond farewell, I was drunk. But I had the satisfaction of seeing Old Scratch as drunk as I. My youthful modesty scarcely let me dare believe that the hardened old buccaneer was even more drunk. And afterwards, from Spider and Pat and Clam and Johnny Heinhold and others, came the tips that Old Scratch liked me, and had nothing but good words for the fine lad I was. Which was the more remarkable because he was known as a savage, cantankerous old cuss who never liked anybody. His very nickname, Scratch, arose from a berserker trick of his, in fighting, of tearing off his opponent's face. And that I had won his friendship, all thanks were due to John Barleycorn. I have given the incident merely as an example of the multitudinous lures and draws and services by which John Barleycorn wins his followers. End of chapter 10.